Thank you. So you heard from Attorney General Tom that he wasn't alive at the time of Roe v. Wade. I was. You were. Well, I definitely was. I was 21. So not only was I alive, but I was of childbearing age. And I remember what happened to my friends who got pregnant and didn't have access to legal abortion, including a close relative who got on a plane and flew to D.C., where it was legal to have an abortion. And I told this story the other night because it's so relevant today. She should not have had to get on that plane by herself and fly to Washington, D.C., and experience a miscarriage by herself. But what about the woman who didn't have the resources to fly to D.C.? What about those women? And that's exactly where we've returned to. A time where if you have the resources, you will still have access to free and legal abortion. But if you don't, you won't have any options. The only option will be to return to a time when women did not get safe abortions, and many women suffered the consequence of that. The other night, I told my personal story about choosing to have an abortion. And I'm not going to retell it, but I will say that I got so many texts and emails and friends saying how courageous it was to share that story. And I didn't share it to be courageous. I shared it to be honest. Honest about my experience and the experience of so many women in our state and in our country. And we should not be shamed if we share our personal story. I am not surprised by the decision that is pending, but I am so very angry. Everything that has been said here about what it means for our country is absolutely true. What it means for women, we cannot go back. We can't go back to that time for women who choose to have an abortion. We cannot go back. We must resist. There's been a tremendous amount of debate about this issue in this building over the last week. And it's been contentious, it's been difficult. And we haven't really resolved, we've passed great law, and I appreciate that, but we haven't resolved all the issues around abortion rights or the right to have children, by the way. And the comments that have been made by particularly by my black sister senators in the Senate on Friday night were incredibly important. And I don't think we can talk about the right to choose to have an abortion without also talking about the right to choose to have children. And for me, these two issues are inextricably linked. We must also protect the right of black and brown women in our communities to choose to have children. And that means an end to any sterilization abuse, which should never have happened and continues to happen. So I feel so passionate about this issue and willing to speak my personal story because I hope it will help others to share theirs. We cannot stop. We have to protest this decision. We have to march. We have to vote. We have to demonstrate, not just because we're safe here in Connecticut, as long as there's the elected bodies that we currently have, but because we have to protect the rights of women and people throughout this country. Thank you.